Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the long-awaited Eternal Star Glory here, and so by popular demand too, because a few people have asked lately, how come I don't review third-party kits like this much anymore? And it's for really two reasons, and those are, number one, is just a matter of if the design is very appealing to me, and a lot of the designs are maybe not as appealing to me as other things, and then that goes into the second reason, which is just a matter of time. There's just so many other things for me to build and review that I just kind of don't really end up having a lot of time always, but this one does look very cool. So it's certainly a familiar design, but I think that this model looks really, really nice, and it's in 1/100 scale, so it should be quite nice size as well. And then we do also have the LED set for this as well, which is also going to be very cool. So we'll take a look at that later on in the review. We'll get to this, but for now, let's go ahead and check out the box and its contents, and we'll get into it. So starting off with the box art here, we kind of have two different box arts for this, as in I'm not sure which one is supposed to be the front and which one's the back. Usually like the front is the main image, but here on this side we have a vertical image of the glory looking very, very cool there, with this round circular light effect there in the background looking like something out of Interstellar. And then around on the other side of the box we have horizontal box art here with the effects all kind of lit up throughout the body there, and the moon in the background, or I guess it's just actually a different planet or something there. Could be a moon, but not our moon anyway, there in the background. But some cool box art here on the front, back, and on the ends of the box we just kind of got the same artwork there. And then here you can see what this is going to look like front and back. The full image is there of the kit. Now this is, it looks to be like photos of the actual kit and not 3D renders. I'm not entirely sure though, but it does look pretty nice there with all the markings and everything on it. You can see some of the gimmicks that we're going to have here. It is going to have some handheld weapons included as well there, it looks like, or at least one. And then on the other side, just some more images showing some of the gimmicks, kind of how the backpack works there to be able to utilize that, the flight attitude there in the legs, for example. So we got some different cool parts there, and then the display stand, energy position development there. Okay, anyway, interesting. Let's go ahead and pop it open and see what we've got inside here. We will take a look at all of these runners here in just a moment. We got some cool gold parts, clear parts. It's very nice looking stuff here. And under that, a few more bits here. We have a little page which shows, I guess, how to use some of those clear effect parts there, it looks like, and also a warning about to be careful of the sharp points on those. And we've got some water slide decals and stickers in here as well. For just some foil stickers here, looks like we've got the same set available in either green or kind of aqua blue kind of color there, so it looks like we'll probably have some options. And then there's a few stickers down here as well, just kind of in this kind of a chrome mirror finish there. Not sure if these are going to be going on the parts or like underneath clear parts or something, so we'll see how these are going to look on the actual kit. And then quite the large sheet of water slide decals here as well, which do also look to be very interesting in the finish. So it looks like some of these are just in kind of your normal gray, red, and white, but then some have this kind of metallic silver shine to them as well. So you have some silver and some gold decals that are going to go around on there as well, which those look pretty cool. So some very nice looking decals here for the kit. And then our instruction manual, which looks pretty nice. Here we've got our parts list at the front, and everything's in black and white here, as you can see. The way that it's set up is also pretty nice in that for the Bobby unit here, part 1, it shows you which runners you're going to need for building this section, which is always nice. I do always like to see that. The head unit there is next. Then we go to the hip unit, the arm unit, ultimately then the legs, and I can assume the pack unit. And finally, it's the Bobby unit again, which you may expect would have been the weapons unit, but nope, it's the Bobby unit, part 2. So anyway, at the very back here, we have the decal guide showing us where all those decals are going to be placed all around the kits and weapons, backpack, and everything else. And that's it for the instruction manual. All right, let's get into the runners here. We do have some polycaps, PE runner here in dark gray. And then runners A1 and A2 are going to be in a light gray color, mostly for those big ring parts for the backpack. And you will notice we are going to have a lot of instances of some nice pre-painting on these parts. You have these bits of silver, which are already printed there on the parts for you, which is really nice. Runners B and C, some more parts here in that light gray color. We have 1 of runner B, 2 of runner C there. Another thing that I'll point out and that you'll notice on these parts too is that we just have a lot of really nice detail, which looks very, very good. Runners D, E, and F here, some smaller runners. Runner D is some parts there in yellow. Runner E we have 2 of for some clear green parts there. and runner F is going to be in a kind of dark red color there. Runner G, also a smaller runner here in that dark gray color, looks like mostly parts for the weapon. And then runner H is interesting. We have H1, H2, and H3, which is going to be all of like the effect parts in the body, and you have one set of those parts here in clear, so you could use them as clear, or you could paint them in whatever kind of clear color you want, or you can use these same parts here, runners H1, H2, and H3, in this gold, which looks really nice here. And it is in a coated gold. Looking at the parts on the back side, it looks like the parts are actually molded in like a molded gold or like a molded kind of yellow color, and then coated with this gold plating on there. But it does look really nice. They catch the light really nicely. Those details look really good. So I'm probably going to opt for using these parts here for our display unit. Runner I is back to dark gray here. We've got 2 of these for some more joint parts there. And up next, we're getting into some of our white armor pieces, which we've got quite a lot of. Here we got runner J, runner K, we have 2 of those. And then on much larger runners here, runner L, we have 2 of as well. And then on runner M here, you can also notice a lot of pre-painted details on some of these parts here as well, which do look really nice. Then runners N, O, and P are some more dark gray parts for basically the inner frame. Runner N we have 2 of, and then we have runner O here and runner P for a lot of nicely detailed parts there for the frame. Lastly, we have runner Q, which is going to be here in clear, which looks to be sort of like a stand for the back. So not like a full-on kind of like action base, but like a tripod sort of stand, sort of similar to like the Master Grade Hainu Verka. Had something similar to that is what this would appear to be. And then we have 2 of this runner labeled Glisten, which is going to be the clear effect parts for the backpack here as well. So those parts look really nice here in plain clear. And I will say those sharp tips are very, very sharp actually. So yeah, you are going to want to be careful with those. But that's it for all the runners. Let me go ahead and get this put together and we'll see what it looks like. All right guys, and here's how the kit is going to look when it's all built up. It is really impressive looking. Now I do want to go ahead and put the decals on and maybe do a little bit of panel lining on it as well. I'll get to that in just a moment, but first I just want to show you guys exactly how the kit is going to look, just straight built, straight out of the box without doing anything extra to it here. And as you can see, it does look really nice. You do have to use that included stand there at the back just to help it to stand up. Obviously that backpack's going to be quite heavy there, but overall the construction is really nice and it is a pretty solid kit. It's just that it has a lot of weight there at the back. I would highly recommend you guys check out the live stream build of this because a lot of the questions that you guys may have about this kit I will try to answer in this review video, but I definitely answered a lot of questions that people had during the live stream build as well, just concerning the overall build quality, etc. So definitely check that out. But let's go over some of our other included accessories. So if you didn't want to use this stand here at the back, which I think works perfectly fine, you have a couple of points for articulation though. Honestly, it's like just the right height to be able to do like a standing pose like this. You're not really going to need to adjust it at all, but you do have a couple of points of adjustment. We do also have the inclusion of an action base adapter here, which will fit up underneath the waist, although I think the backpack might still be a balancing issue. We'll see how well that works here in just a bit. And then we've got our hand options, which have swappable fingers, very similar to like the Master Grade Seed kits, which makes sense with this being based on a Seed mobile suit. There was actually a lot of the frame that did feel very familiar to like the Master Grade GAT frame, the Master Grade Seed Gundam frame. While definitely not a one-to-one copy of any of those parts, there was a lot of very similar parts, and the same holds true with the hands too being swappable fingers. But that said, you actually don't need to swap the fingers because we have full hands for all of our different options here, even though you could still swap the fingers if you want to. We have holding hands, open expressive hands, and trigger finger hands all for the left and the right side, and then of course those closed fists there on the kit at the moment. And then we've got the weapon here, which does have an option part, whether you want to have it having this short barrel here, sort of like a beam pistol, and there you can see with some of this pre-painted silver and gray on these parts that look nice, or you can swap that white barrel tip part here for this longer barrel if you wanted to make it more like a beam rifle. This part also does look pretty cool, and this is just going to fit into that trigger finger hand there like that, and does seem to be a pretty solid fit there, so that should work pretty nicely. And then we just got our effect parts. So you got a couple of little connection pieces here, this other connection piece here, which will actually go up underneath the rings in the backpack. You can see there's those, in those gray parts, those 2 little holes right there. You can use this piece to hold the ring together. And our big effect parts here, so these are going to go like one on each side. These are going to connect actually on the inside of the ring. right up inside there. And these are adjustable. You don't need to have these at any particular angle, and there's actually a kind of helpful guide there that we saw in the instructions. This will actually show you the different forms that you can make, just some suggestions of how you can have those effect parts arranged if you so choose. And then yeah, these parts, as I was saying, are used to connect these pointed effect parts there onto the side of the arm, for example, if you wanted to use those in that way. So before we take a look at the kit in a couple of poses, and like I said, I add the decals and some panel lining on it to just kind of help with the overall look. I just want to separate this into the backpack and the main body to talk a little bit more about the kit in general. The backpack is pretty nice and kind of interesting how these connection arms are very similar to basically like building the arms of a Gundam, the upper arm, the elbow, and the lower arm, like the forearm. But then we just have these connection parts here, which will connect into the ring. The ring just kind of fits together with these tiny little tabs there at the top and bottom that will fit that together, and then these arms are able to move up and around in all sorts of different directions. This whole section will kind of fold out like that, and then you can extend this part out here as well. That slides in and out kind of loosely. I wish that was maybe a little bit tighter in there, but you can see how, like, for example, we can bring these parts down and around to kind of bring them around the sides of the Gundam, like you can see in some of the promotional images and stuff. So a lot of the poses that you see with the ring and all sorts of different poses you can do here, and the weight doesn't really seem to be an issue. It does seem to be able to, these arms do seem to be able to support the weight of the ring without any issue here, so I think that's pretty good. And again, the silver pre-painting on there and the gold parts in there look really nice. Obviously, I opted to use the gold parts rather than the clear parts for all of the effect parts like within the Gundam. And on the note of the effect parts thing, these green parts, although I'm not a big fan of the green parts just color-wise, because I think you have this nice warm color scheme going over throughout all of the Gundam with this like white, off-white, gold, silver, and the green just kind of is an odd accent color to that. Although it does look pretty good in here. You don't have any stickers to go underneath to make those like shine brighter. I would maybe suggest painting some silver or something underneath where those green parts go to make them really nice and shiny if you want to. But considering that they're on top of white parts, for these ones anyway, these ones are on top of the light gray there, but because the clear parts are on top of white parts here, they are going to be pretty bright anyway. And as for the Gundam itself, we do have those stickers that you can use for like the eyes, the head cameras, and there's a couple other little like camera bits around on the design where those stickers are going to be used, and I will throw those on when I put on the decals as well, so you guys will see how those will look in just a minute. But I just wanted to show you guys how the head cameras and the eyes and everything is also just a part of those gold parts, which also means that you have those in the clear parts as well. Anything that's gold you also have in clear, so you could have those in clear, whatever color that you want. I think the gold parts just look really, really nice as a nice gold accent. You will have some parts like this one right here in the forearm where you have a mold line on that gold part. That's kind of less than ideal, but it's not common. Most of the gold parts don't have any kind of mold line or anything. And on that note, pretty much everything on this kit is undergated, so that's nice for those of you guys who are fans of undergated parts. For me, I'm just kind of agnostic or ambivalent, maybe is the better word for it. I don't really care whether parts are undergated or not. If they're on parts like this, gold parts, and if there was like a big nub mark right there, then obviously I would want that to be undergated. But on anywhere where the parts are not undergated, the nub is placed in an area that's not going to show. And so you could, this is one of those kits where you could paint everything on the runners if you wanted to. I still don't really advise doing that, but you could do it if you want to. The arms are symmetrical, and so you have these gauntlet parts here that fit on the side, and those will fit on either the left or the right side, whether it's either the left or the right arm. This is one of the parts that I found is slightly loose. I would maybe recommend just putting a little bit of glue on that, just glue that in place just to make sure that these parts don't fall off on you. The only other part that I would maybe recommend gluing is this part here on the top of the chest. I talked about this during the live build. Putting this part on here, it's not really super tight, so I would maybe just recommend a little dot of glue on that before you pop that on, and then just to make sure that that part is never going to go anywhere on you. But overall, as you can see, the details and everything on the kit looks fantastic. The articulation is really, really nice as well. Like I said, putting the kit together, it felt very familiar to like the Master Grade Seed GAT frame. So all of the nice articulation and solid frame that you have there with the GAT frame, it's pretty much represented here as well, and you have a lot of great details even up underneath the skirt parts right here, for example. The side skirt's going to be kind of hard to see up underneath there, but you have some nice detail up underneath all of the skirt sections. The back skirt is really nice. I think we had about 7 or 8 different parts that go together to make the back skirt, and then you also have some pre-painting on these parts as well. So that looks really, really nice there. And one aspect of the original design that I'm not really super big fan of, especially on the HG version, is this part here on the back of the legs. But I do like how they've done it here on this one. This part does open up, and just the color separation there with that dark gray and with the yellow accents and everything does look really, really nice there on the back of the leg. When you bend the knee, you get some really nice separation of this knee armor there. A really quite large piece of knee armor does stick out like that and exposes some more gold here on the front of the leg. It all looks really, really good. So we'll try it out here in a few poses just so you guys can get the idea. And again, I just wanted to show this to you as exactly what you would get if you don't do anything extra to it at all. You just build it up and put it up on your shelf as it is. And I think it looks fantastic like this. It definitely looks really, really nice. And as I was just saying, the articulation is fantastic. It's a really solid feeling kit. And as far as like fit issues, people were talking about this or asking about this a lot during the live stream, asking how the parts fit and everything. There is maybe a slight noticeable difference between like a normal Bandai model kit, master grade, and this in terms of the fit. There's a couple of parts maybe where the fit is a little bit tight, especially the gold plated parts are going to be a little bit tighter just because of that gold coating on there. But overall, it was nothing too difficult at all. You won't have any issues getting anything together. You won't have to like sand down any connection points or anything to be able to get parts to fit together. You just may have to use a little bit more pressure than you're used to if you're used to building Bandai model kits all the time, but honestly it all goes together, and you would kind of want it to be a little bit more tight and firm as opposed to being too loose, especially on a 1/100 scale model kit like this where you have a lot of parts in there, a lot of weight. You don't want to have any weight issues, so you would kind of want things to be a little bit tighter, and so it actually holds up really well. But of course, as is the case with any model kit, you just want to be careful with it. If the joint is kind of tight, you know, be careful when you're bending joints and things like that. Make sure you're doing things, moving parts very intentionally, just so that you don't accidentally break a peg or anything like that. Not that I would expect that would happen with this kit, but it could happen with any kit. You just need to be a little bit careful. All right, anyway, with a little bit of panel lining on there and then adding the decals, here's how it's gonna look. I think you'll agree that it looks even better now with all of that added on there, and it was only, a couple hours extra work. There was quite a few decals to put on there, and a couple things that I'll note about the stickers and the decals. So regarding the decals, a couple of them I came across, they actually look a little bit different in the manual and on the actual decal sheet. So you may run into that while you're putting the decals on. You go to get the decal and you notice that it doesn't look exactly like how it looks in the manual. I don't know what happened between maybe the planning stages between the decals and the manual, but I guess there was a couple of decals that ended up getting changed. Anyway, it's not really that big of a deal, but just something to make you guys aware of. And then as far as the stickers, those were not great. I put a couple of the stickers on for like the head cameras and then the green ones there on like the torso, and I was trying to put on a couple of other of the little like green and or blue, you can choose between the colors if you guys remember from the sticker sheet. Trying to put on a couple more of those, but they're not really well cut out. So if you do really want to use those, I would recommend taking a knife and just like cutting them again, even though they're cut out, but they're not cut like all the way through the paper. So I would just recommend cutting those again. Just to make sure that they are cleanly cut out before you try peeling them off the sticker sheet, because what you might end up doing, what happened to me when I tried to peel it off, you just kind of peel up the paper part on the top, like the paper layer, and not the full adhesive layer of the sticker. So just something to watch out for, to be careful of if you're planning on using those. I used a couple, ended up not using a lot of those just because I was having trouble with them and I just didn't really care too much to have those on there. But I did use all the decals as they are laid out in the manual, but you do have a lot of decals left over as well. So you've got plenty left over, and some you have options. So like some of the decals, you have an option whether you want to use it in like gray or silver or white or silver. So you have some options, and either way you're going to have plenty of leftover decals. Some of them like specific to this kit, some of them just kind of some generic caution markings and stuff that you could absolutely use for some other build. So you can toss those into your decal stash and keep those for a different build. But all right, so now let's check out the LED set, which is sold separately, of course, and in this pretty nondescript box. There's nothing really too much to see on the outside here except for this salted fish model play sticker that we have for the seal on this. But inside here, let's check out what we've got. So this is going to be for the light rings, and you can see here is going to be the main parts for that. We'll take a closer look at everything here in just a moment. We have some gold parts there, and let's see a few different parts here which look really quite interesting. We've got this cord here, as well as the base plate. The base plate itself looks pretty nice here in black with some gold printed on there. Interesting to note, seems like they got the name wrong because this is called the Glory, so I don't know what that's doing on there, but anyway. Yeah, and then here is like the main flexible arm that we can use here for this as well, which is pretty cool. And it seems pretty heavy duty with the screw end there on both ends. We've got another shorter arm here as well, so it looks like maybe we'll have some options there. And then our instructions, which is not even like an instruction booklet. Well, I guess maybe it is. It's meant to be kind of folded in half here like that. So this is what it's going to look like on the front. On the back side, it features these like little paper cutouts that I guess you can cut out and put there on the display there as well. This other little teaser next here, which looks like it's the what's that, the 150 Gerbera straight there for like the powered arm red frame Astray or whatever, right? So it looks like maybe that's another product that they're going to be coming out with. But the instructions look pretty minimal. Basically, there's a list of what's all included over here, and then over here is just kind of some basic instructions of how it's meant to be put together, basically. And then as you can see, everything's there in Chinese as well. But yeah, so might take me a minute to get everything figured out, but let's just take a look at the rest of our contents here. Looks like we have a few of these connection pieces here that we can use with the base. And yeah, this gold-plated runner, which is basically just giving you some like little cap pieces to cap the holes in here. And then a gold piece there for the V-fin there. It looks like a gold-plated part for the V-fin. For these tube parts, yeah, it's just basically clear plastic tubing here. We'll see how well that's gonna work. All our other components here in this bag, where we've got these green tubing, which I guess is going to be our actual like LED lights, which is this LED wire, basically light. Got some screws, nuts and bolts stuff here that we can use. And then the actual power supply and battery pack here. So it looks like this can be clipped. I don't know what you're gonna wanna clip that onto, but this looks to be like it's going to be using 2 AA batteries there, of course not included, and then it's just gonna be a simple button on off, I guess. So all right, let me get this put together. We'll see how it looks. Let's talk about this effect stand, an LED stand here. So there was a couple of issues, things that I'll talk about with this. Number one, you have to string like this green LED light through this clear tube, and it was very difficult to do that. So what I ended up actually doing is just put a little bit of dish soap in some water, just make some soapy water, and put the soapy water on the LED light as you're kind of stringing it through the clear pipe, and that made it a lot easier to string through there. Also, gotta say, I don't really care for all this stuff that you have left over here. Really wish that they would have designed the base in a way for basically all this to actually fit underneath the base or something. For some reason, I'm not sure why they made the battery pack like separate. I think probably what I'm gonna try to do is maybe cut out a small section right here just for the wires to tuck under, and as much as I can, just fit these wires underneath and just kind of hot glue them to the bottom of the base. And the battery pack will have to be sticking out. There's kind of just nothing really too much that you can do about that. Maybe just try to attach this in some way, like to the arm here like that. I think with that clip, you could maybe like clip it onto there or something. So anyway, we've got these two arms and a couple of points on here where you can plug them in at the base, but we've got this longer one, which you can use for holding up the effect parts here, obviously, and the shorter one, and these are gonna be like these flexible ones. Also, gotta say, not a huge fan of this connection piece here, but it seems like that this base and the actual kit were designed by different people or different companies where they kind of vaguely knew that the kit was coming out, so they didn't have a specific action-based connector for this kit, so they just kind of went with this like generic fork one, as I usually tend to call these, which work well enough. They're not usually great, so we'll see how well this works in a moment. The other thing that you'll notice may be a problem is these actual rings, as they tend to just kind of fall down. Now you can of course rotate them here so these fit together, and you can just kind of rotate them separately to make it however you might want. And so I'm gonna get the kit on the base and then we'll see how well we can make it work. But if I kick off my main lights here for a second, I want to show you guys how this is going to look. So it has 3 modes. When you press the button once, it lights up, and it's not quite as bright as I would like. In a dark room, it'll definitely be noticeable. In a bright room, it's not gonna be all that bright. I mean, it does look cool, and obviously I'll work on getting it into a better pose here in just a second, but if you press it again, then it flashes very quickly, and press it again and it flashes slowly. I think probably most people are just gonna want it on solid on, so if we go back to that, it does look cool, I gotta say, in the dark. I do wish that it was a little bit brighter though, but all right, let me go ahead and get the kit on here and we can see kind of the final product of everything. All right, but it does take some finagling, but here you go. You can get it into some pretty convincing poses here. I find that, yeah, the base, the connection piece up into the kit just doesn't really work well just because of how heavy the backpack is. So as you can see, what I'm actually doing is using that base to actually just kind of rest underneath the backpack rather than underneath the hip section, kind of as it's supposed to. So that's why I would recommend you guys to do, just kind of turn it 90 degrees and have it just hold up the backpack. And that does kind of limit you. I do wish that there would have been a better connection piece to the actual kit. And I mean, there's a couple of things that I maybe wish would have been done a little bit differently when it comes to this base. But like I said, I get the sense that the base was designed separately from the kit, and it kind of would have made sense to have the base designed a little bit more specifically for this kit, maybe after the kit came out. I think they were probably just in a rush to get it out or something, but it works well enough. And I think, like I said, in a well-lit room, you're not going to see it lit up that much, but especially with the lights off, it looks fantastic there. It does look really, really nice. And if you're a fan of the Stargazer Gundam, of course, then obviously you're going to really like this. I do really like the design of this one a lot. A lot of these kind of third-party 1/100 scale kits tend to be a little bit over-detailed for my personal taste. That's just kind of a personal subjective thing, but I do really like the amount of detail that we have on this one. I think it will fit in really well next to some of your other master grades like Master Grade Providence Gundam, the Freedom Gundam 2.0, some of these seed master grades that are a little bit higher on the detail level compared to some of like the earlier ones like the Aegis, the Buster. They're not quite on the same kind of level in terms of, on the same degree when it comes to the details. But what I'm trying to say is I think this will look really good with your 1/100 scale master grade seed collection of kits, and also not even master grades, but the recently released full mechanics kits are also very similarly detailed to this one. So I think it looks really good. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this kit? Did you get it? Are you planning on getting it? Did you get the LED set? Did you guys have different experience with the LED set? Did you have a better time or a worse time with it? If you guys do have any questions about getting it to work or anything like that, if you're having trouble, do feel free to reach out. I'll help you guys. I did the best I can with this. Like I said, there was a couple of tricky points, but if you guys need any help with yours, definitely let me know and I'll try to help you guys out. But if you guys want to check out the kit or the LED set for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. I think at the moment of recording this, we do have both in stock, so you should definitely check it out there. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support. Hope you enjoyed the video here today, taking a look at something a little bit different. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, make sure that you're subscribed to stick around for more videos in the future. But as always, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, hope you all have a great day. See you guys later. Bye-bye.